Welcome to the Cenario Podcast, your guide to mental health and well-being. Each episode, we uncover practical tools, discuss expert insights, and explore how supplements can transform your mental health journey. Get ready to learn, grow, and thrive with us.
Okay, so we're diving into some pretty interesting stuff today. You guys sent in a ton about persistent depressive disorder, PDD, which some people might know as dysthymia. It's one of those things, the name might sound a little like clinical, but the way it can really impact someone's life is huge.
Yeah, for sure. Just looking at what you've sent, I think what jumps out is how long-lasting PDD is. Have those dramatic ups and downs like some other conditions, but it's this kind of consistent low-level depression.
Right, like a constant weight you're carrying.
Yeah, exactly. One source actually called it quiet, slow-burning depression, which I thought was a really good way to put it.
It really is.
Yeah.
So our mission today is to figure out what defines PDD? Like, what are the boxes you got to check to get that diagnosis?
Mm-hmm.
And then how does it affect your everyday life in those subtle ways that maybe you wouldn't even notice at first?
Okay, so first things first, what makes PDD different? The material you sent really emphasizes time. For adults to be diagnosed, you need to have this depressed mood most of the day, more often than not, for at least 2 years.
2 years, wow.
Yeah, it's a long time. But it's a bit shorter for younger folks, though.
Right, for kids and teenagers, it's at least 1 year. And their mood might be more like irritability than straight-up sadness. But the main thing, no matter your age, is that it's constant.
Definitely. And even if you do feel okay for a bit, it doesn't last. The sources are really clear about that. Those good periods, if they even happen, are super short, like 2 months max.
So even if you're going to work, doing your thing, there's still this underlying distress, like a shadow hanging over you, making everything harder.
Exactly. It's not that you can't function at all, but it's just harder, less enjoyable. Okay, so that's the time aspect. But the DSM-5, the big book of diagnoses, it says you need more than just a low mood. There have to be at least 2 other symptoms, too.
Right, like changes in how much you're eating. Maybe you have no appetite, or maybe you can't stop eating, or sleep problems, insomnia, or sleeping way too much, always feeling tired, no matter how much you rest. And then there's low self-esteem, trouble concentrating, feeling hopeless, that kind of stuff.
And what's kind of scary is how these can become, like, part of who you think you are. You might just think, oh, this is just me. I'm just this way. You don't even realize it could be a sign of something more.
Right, like a dimmer switch that's always set to low and you've forgotten there's a brighter setting.
Exactly. And then on top of all that, those symptoms have to be causing real problems in your life, like making it hard to do your job, go to school, or even just hang out with friends and family.
Here's the thing. You could look fine from the outside, like going through the motions, but inside, you're totally drained and disconnected. That makes it even harder for people to understand what's going on, even for yourself.
Yeah, definitely. And again, that 2-month rule is super important. That's one of the things that really separates PDD from other mood disorders.
Makes sense. Now, the guide also mentions that you can't have PDD if your symptoms are better explained by other conditions.
Right. Like if you've had manic or hypomanic episodes, that's more likely to be bipolar disorder, which needs a different approach.
And things like schizoaffective disorder, delusional disorder, or if your symptoms are because of drugs or a medical condition like a thyroid problem, those are all ruled out too.
Yeah, it's about making sure you're getting the right diagnosis for the root of the problem. Oh, and the guide also talks about specifiers. Those are like extra labels clinicians can use to be more precise about your PDD.
Like adding details to the picture.
Exactly. Like with anxious distress, if there's a lot of anxiety too, or with atypical features for a specific pattern of symptoms, it helps tailor the treatment to you.
Okay, so now we know what PDD is, like how it's defined.
Yeah.
But why does it happen in the first place?
That's the million-dollar question, right? And it seems like, from the info you've given me, it's usually a bunch of things coming together, not just one single cause.
Like a perfect storm.
Yeah, kind of. So there are biological factors like neurotransmitters, serotonin and dopamine. They're those brain chemicals that control mood and emotions.
Right, like the brain's messengers.
Exactly. And if they're out of balance, that's thought to play a part in depression. Hormones might be involved too, from what I'm reading.
Interesting. And what about family history? If depression runs in your family, does that make you more likely to get PDD?
Definitely. The sources say that having a parent or sibling with depression or any mood disorder increases your chances. So genetics might make some people more vulnerable.
So it's like you inherit a predisposition, and then other things can trigger it.
That's the idea. Now, your personality can play a role too.
Really? Like what kinds of things?
Well, low self-esteem is a big one. Always being self-critical, having a negative outlook on life, and overthinking everything. It's like those ways of thinking create a space where depression can take root.
It's so true how your thoughts can affect your mood. And of course, we can't forget about stress and trauma.
Yeah.
That has to be a huge factor.
Huge. Chronic stress, like financial problems, being sick, or losing someone close to you, that can definitely contribute. And the guide specifically mentions childhood trauma or neglect. Those early experiences can change your whole emotional baseline, you know?
It's like the foundation of your emotional house is shaky.
Exactly. Even things like feeling isolated, having toxic relationships, not having good support, those can all make things worse.
It really shows how much our environment and our connections matter for our mental well-being. Okay, so we've got this complex web of biology, personality, and life experiences. But how does this actually show up in everyday life? I'm really interested in those real-life scenarios you mentioned.
Yeah, those are super helpful to make it all real. Like, take work, for example. Someone with PDD might still be going to work, doing their tasks, but they feel like a robot, you know? No real passion or excitement. Projects that used to be meaningful feel pointless, and they're always tired, no matter how much they sleep.
It's like existing on autopilot, but not enjoying the ride.
Yeah, exactly. And then in relationships, there's this distance. They care about people, but social stuff feels exhausting, not fun. Making plans feels like a chore.
Like you have to force yourself to be social.
Right. And inside, their heads filled with negative thoughts. Why am I like this? They think it's just who they are, not a symptom they could address.
That internal struggle is so important to recognize. It's like they're hiding this heavy weight, and people might not even realize it's there.
Exactly. So, knowing all this, what's the outlook for someone with PDD? Can they get better? And what can they do to cope?
Well, the good news is that recovery is definitely possible. It's not always easy, and it takes time, but it can happen. The sources stress the importance of getting help, and they list a bunch of practical things you can do to manage the symptoms.
Let's dive into those. What about having a routine? Why is that so important?
Well, it seems like routine and predictability can be really grounding, especially when you're low on energy and motivation. Having a regular schedule can create a sense of stability and keep you from feeling so lost.
Makes sense. And of course, there's sleep hygiene. That's crucial for anyone, but especially for mental health. Going to bed and waking up at the same time each day, avoiding screens before bed, those can make a huge difference in your mood.
Right, those little things can add up. And getting some exercise, even just a walk, can help too, right?
Absolutely. It releases those feel-good endorphins. And the guide also mentions mindfulness and meditation. Those can be really helpful for staying present and stopping those negative thoughts from spinning out of control.
Oh yeah, I've heard a lot about how mindfulness can help with anxiety and depression. And what about journaling?
That's a great one, too. It can help you understand your own patterns and maybe even identify your triggers. It's like becoming your own emotional detective.
I love that analogy. So those are some things you can do on your own.
Yeah.
But the sources also talk a lot about getting professional help, like therapy and maybe medication.
Right. Cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, seems to be the go-to approach for PDD. Do you know much about that?
I know it's all about identifying and changing negative thought patterns. It gives you practical tools to reframe those thoughts and cope better. Like, instead of being ruled by your negative thoughts, you learn to manage them.
Exactly. And medication, like antidepressants, can be part of the picture too, especially SSRIs and SNRIs.
Right. Those help balance those brain chemicals we were talking about earlier.
Yep. And the guide is clear that medication works best when you're also doing therapy.
It's like a 1-2 punch.
Now, the sources also mention natural supplements. What are your thoughts on those?
Well, they can be helpful, but it's super important to talk to a doctor first, especially if you're already on medication, because there can be interactions. But some of the ones mentioned are omega-3 fatty acids, vitamin D, magnesium, B vitamins, and then herbal stuff like rhodiola rosea and St. John's wort. But with St. John's wort, you got to be extra careful because it can mess with other meds.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to mix things without a doctor's okay. It's interesting, though, how some of these supplements, like the vitamin D and B vitamins, they're all about energy and mood. And omega-3s are really good for your brain in general.
It really reinforces that whole body approach, you know?
Yeah,
It's not just your mind, it's everything working together.
totally. So, big picture, what are your main takeaways about PDD? What's sticking with you?
I think the biggest thing for me is how much this subtle, long-term depression can affect your life, even if it's not super obvious to you or others. it's easy to miss the signs or to just think it's part of someone's personality.
Yeah, I agree. That chronic nature of PDD is what makes it so different. And that constant low mood can really wear you down over time. And it's important to remember that you can't always tell how someone's feeling just by looking at them.
Right. It's what's going on inside that matters.
Mm.
And the good news is there are things you can do to feel better, whether it's therapy, medication, lifestyle changes, or even those natural supplements we talked about. There's help out there.
Definitely. And just understanding what PDD is, that's the first step to getting the right support and finding a plan that works for you.
So true. So as we wrap up our deep dive into PDD, I want to leave you with this. How many of these subtle symptoms might be more common than we think in ourselves and the people around us? And what if we were more aware of them? Could we make a difference by just understanding and supporting each other better?
That's a powerful thought. I think you're right. Awareness can make a huge difference.
Thanks for joining us today. We'll be back next time with another deep dive into a topic you care about.
See you then.
Thanks for tuning in to the Cenario podcast. Don't forget to visit Cenario.com for more expert tips, articles, and supplements designed to support your mental health. If you enjoyed this episode, remember to subscribe and share it with a friend. Until next time, take care of yourself.